Hello everyone, welcome to the day one of crafting Git and the day, precisely I should say day two of crafting Git. This is Lakshit Pant from Azure Developer Community, and today we are going to explore, what is GitHub, and I'll primarily I won't be focusing on what is open source because that you can definitely go check out it on maybe google.com. There are a bunch of blogs written, everything is there, and what is open source, why open source, everything is written already there. I'll just try to be very practical and why we are doing this, why one should learn GitHub, and how it helps maybe a developer or anyone in the town to build any to how is it a skill that exist in that ecosystem, and why actually the Git or maybe the GitHub exists. This is what we are going to talk about, and how this term open source came out. So technically this open source term, if you will talk about, then it's not it's not a very new or fishy term. We have been hearing this from a very long time, and we have been practicing it. It's not only in the technical sector, it's everywhere. Open source is everywhere, where people are collaborating. They are trying to make a project in public. That's what simply you know anything that if someone is anywhere where multiple where group of people, set of people are coming together and collaborating and making something out of it. They are designate, they are particularly assigned to do a particular task. That's what they are doing, and everyone is trying to contribute on their behalf of their own. That's what we call open source, right? And then the term, when it came to maybe into the picture into the tech ecosystem, it was first time when the terminology Linux and all the Linux term came out, right? They just wanted to build it very public. That time the OS culture was just growing up, and at that time Linus Torvalds and his couple of engineers decided to make a company. Not precisely I should say company, they were looking forward to make a you know what I should, they are an organization, a solution where everyone is contributing and they are making something, and they are making something out of the project. So that's what the precisely the Linux was all about. So now I'll quickly talk about a couple of things more. Now, talking about the GitHub, if you will see, let me just quickly share my screen. Just allow me a moment. I'll share my screen so that you guys can do. So there are a bunch of tools. The very famous one that is very famous in all the technical world, that is GitHub. And GitHub is a own organization that is currently owned by Microsoft, right? So GitHub has done so lots of work. Like, this is how a GitHub dashboard looks like precisely. If I'll just click on my dashboard, this is what a GitHub dashboard looks like, where you can just make some projects. You can see what other peoples are doing. There is some kind of feed they have really built. You can see your repositories. You can make a new repository. I'll tell you what is a repository exactly is all about, and what are these buttons. But if you want to, if you will, so this is what my profile looks like, right? How to make this kind of profile. You can also make these kind of profile. You can do whatever you want, and there are a bunch of things that GitHub allows you to build, right? So from the very first time, just give me a moment, I'll share it from here. Okay. Yeah, we are here. So this is what precisely GitHub is all about. Now we are just going to start a little bit hands-on about the GitHub and the basics, how you can just build out of a project, right? And you will we will understand maybe how GitHub can help us. And the myth that I want to break with this today's session is GitHub is, it's not a skill. It's just a maybe 10 to 20 minute thing that you can easily learn in a maybe very quick manner. You can easily learn, and it's a very simple thing. I have seen tutorials of 2 hours tutorial of Git, 4 hour tutorial of Git, and to be very honest, you don't need that, right? You definitely not need that. There are just some basic commands that you should explore. And if you have seen that link, right, if I'll just show you that, let me see what we are going to so in this section, if you have seen this, I have So maybe the version control and get it. So this is what we were going to discuss today, like version controlling. What is version control? Okay, let's first understand what is version control. So okay, let me just zoom in a little bit. Okay, let's understand what is version control. So if you are building a project and you just want to, you so for maintaining the versions, like you must have seen there are updates coming in. If you are having a game in your mobile phone, right, WhatsApp is there, right? WhatsApp keep updating its software. So first, it's like, suppose they have added the feature of new feature called status, right? Earlier when WhatsApp started, the status feature was not there. So they are building this pipeline of versions where they are, at the same time of, where they have launched their product. Okay, their product, now they are just updating their product. There can be multiple ways to, contribute to a project, right? I'll just quickly. So there can be two phases, there can be two differences. First is, you are building a product now, and then the process goes to next level. You have already made a product and you are working on it to improve the project, right? This is only the two cases where we generally use version controlling, right? And what is exactly version control? As the name suggests, so we have something. Suppose I have to make this software, right? I have to make this software, and in order to make the software, I know I need this, maybe I need this, I need maybe these are the couple of things I want, right? So I'll add all these things. Okay, and I'll create a log key. On the day one I made this, on the day two I made this, on the day three I made this, on the day four I made this. So it's stored in a log where you are keeping your data. And then, so that if one wants to, if you don't need this, if these three are enough for you, okay, you made this but now you don't need this, right? Now you can just switch back to with these three only, and you can just push it right over here. So it's just understand it like this, how the git typically works. So suppose if you have seen your attendance system, maybe the typical attendance system, right? Suppose the paper registers one, right? So what people are doing, people are coming, they are typing your name every day, they are just present, a absent, and p for present, right? What they are doing is, if you are present for today, they will mark you p, and if you're not present for tomorrow, they will mark you a, right? So they are keeping a version, like if you are present or not in this college or not, if you're present in the school or not, so that they can track your attendance. And finally they can go with your, maybe the full product, maybe your 100% or 75% attendance criteria. They can evaluate on you on the same basis. Same thing goes here when you want to build some product on multiple versions. Then you usually I'm really sorry, then you usually do this, right? Now there are a couple of questions that arises. Next is, what is git? So git is an open source software. So suppose if you want to explore git, right? Maybe I can, yeah, it's here. So this is the website of Git. You can just check it out. It's very simple, and you can always go through it. You can always go through documentation. You don't need to learn all the commands that are present over this website. You can simply go and you can just check out on which license it is built on, or and how you can use. And you can always use. I'll recommend these resources to learn. Maybe the official documentation. Yeah, this is the official documentation you should learn from, right? Git SCM. So this is the official documentation that you can learn, explore the Git cheat if you want. Anytime if you want to learn, explore with Git, it's hardly a 15. If you will see here, five. Okay, let me just share the step and step. If you will see right over here, this is 5 minute, this is 4 minute, this is 5 minute, and again this is 8 minute. So 6 minutes, 6 plus 8, 14, 14 plus approximately 5, 19, 19, and roughly around 4 to 20. In 24 minutes you can learn and everything that most of the time you just wanted to explore with the gits. This is it, right? This is all about the git, and that's it. You just need this much, all three. Now there comes multiple things, right? And if you will see, so suppose if I will show you one project, right? How you can just show the entire project thing. So I'll just quickly show you that. So that dot git folder, if you have seen a dot git folder any product. That's what it is. So suppose maybe I can just stop sharing, I can just present the entire screen. And yes, I hope my screen is visible to you. So if I'll open any of the projects, right, if I'll open maybe this project, and yeah, if you will see right over here, this dot get file, this is what this is, this is what keeping your logs. And if we'll just delete this dot get file, everything, your commits, your everything that that is inside, that is keeping your version, your repositories, your everything will be deleted. This is what it all, your logs and everything, present here, as everything is present here, right? This is what typical Git is all about. And now if you can simply, you can just go to this website, you can just download the Git, and you can just start working with it, right? That's it. Now there are a couple of things, there are a couple of terminologies that we see, right? Like repository, what is this repository, what is commit, what is commit, what is staging area? Okay, so first let's understand repository. So suppose a repository is like is like a folder. So let's assume uh, okay, so maybe how I can tell you. Okay, so suppose let's take an example of this folder only. Okay, so maybe if suppose you want to maybe maybe make a website. Suppose this reskill.com, suppose there's Microsoft. It's more like a typical folder, right? So if you will see, there is this programming folder. Inside this programming folder there are multiple folders, and inside this folder again there are multiple files, or there can be multiple folders. So similarly, inside your Git, inside a repository, there can be multiple files, that can be. So it's a designated place where you can find everything at one point, right? It's as simple as that. If I'll tell you in the layman term, Git a repository is something. Yeah, if you will see, and how to create a repository, there are two ways. First, you can just go to github.com. There are three ways precisely. First, you can just click on this new, and you can just make a repository. Second is using the terminal. Using a terminal, you can just make a repository. Okay, like git init, always you can do, right? Let me just open VS Code. Just give me a moment. You can always use maybe a git .init, and that's it. Maybe an file. So suppose let's wait for this. And yeah, and also we are doing some internal, Python, and we are doing some extra cohorts, like Python cohort is going on right now. There is the Azure cohorts going on right now. You can always, if you want to learn those as well, definitely feel free to drop an email to us, we will be very happy. So there are two websites. First, if you want to make it through commands, you can just simply do git init, get initialize. So what init means, init means initialize. So you are initializing the Git. So this is how you can simply make a repository, and you can just name it Git init, and the repository name. This is how simply. Next is you can just use this new button. Third is you can use GitHub desktop. So this is the GitHub desktop. You can just make you can just open this GitHub desktop, and simultaneously you can just make GitHub repository right away from here, right? Yeah. So again, it contains lots of things, like commit to master. You can just always make a new repository, or add a local repository, and clone a repository. Now we will understand this, what is a cloning a repository means, what is. And for let's just give me a moment. Okay, let's first understand. So this is how simple as it looks like. This is what a repository looks like. Now in repository there are multiple things, like forking a repository. Suppose uh, maybe I can show you this one. Yeah. So you can see this, there is this number of folks, right? The people have forked this website. Now why folks? So while you are forking, you are the owner of, you are making a new repository, and inside you are putting all the content that is present right over here inside your own repository, so that you can make changes and you can push it to the main branch. You can make a pull request, and again you can see, first you have to just they have forked it on their local system and remotely on their laptop or maybe on their system, and then they have worked, they have updated readme or whatever, they can just make a pull request over it. So this is what it looks like. You can just make a new pull request, or you can use git pull or pull origin master. There are multiple commands for this. Okay, now next is commits. Okay, now what is commit? So before understanding the commit, let's first understand what is staging and what is staging area. So typically what happens in github, right? So suppose this is your main. Okay, and now suppose you have cloned a repository in your system. This is your system, you're working here, you have done x changes right over here. It will first stage the changes right over here, the repository. So if you want to make it as a pull request, then it will go as a pull request. So what staging means, it just allowing you to make another layer, so that you can make a queue of the changes, so that you can maintain all the versions of that you are building on. You can check your commit history, you can check all whatever things that the changes that you have done right now. If it's in the staging area, or you can just there can be staging can be done in two ways. Either you can just directly merge to your main repository, that if you are making a personal project, you will always see there will be you will always push to the main branch. But if you are working in particular organization, inside a particular organization, you have to make a pull request, or maybe you have to there will be some multiple repositories, or maybe branches, like dev. Like if I'll just show you this, just give me a moment. If I'll just show you this one. Good. Just give me a moment. Maybe yeah. So inside them, see, you can see there are multiple branches where you have to put all the things. So if you want to add a copilot, so Sarah has worked a lot on this website, right? So Sarah has added, maybe she has created another directory, and she has another branch where she has put all these contents right over here. So this is how typically it works, right? Staging means. Now, working directory, in which directory you're working on. Now the simply understand in which folder you are right now, right? Suppose, let's understand right now. Let's pwd is one command that shows me, like, this is the working directory, print working directory. This is typically it sounds like print working directory. So this is the directory that I'm working on right now, and you can always change the directory. Suppose if ls is the list, if I want to maybe go folder back, I can just simply do this. Now if I'll do ls, you can see daily dance is already here. Okay, now if I'll just, you can see there are a bunch of folders. Now if I just want, directory is like a folder, it's like a repository, right? It's like a folder where you can roam around. Like if I want to go inside the all new here, right, I can do cd alt tab. I can just simply, now I'm inside the all new here, and inside this there are a couple of things right over here, right? So this is typically this is how typically the current working directory means, in which current directory you are working on it, right? Now initializing a Git repository can always initialize a Git repository. I have already told you, I have already covered this, how you can initialize a Git repository. What is Git clone means? So Git clone means there is already one project that exists, and you want to build locally or remote. You are claiming it, and so you can simply click on this, and so there is this new term that my that GitHub, or maybe I should say Microsoft has introduced, that is code space, that allows you to maybe to see some basic changes and see some basic code. So right now, if I'll just open, right, if I'll just open source, if I just wanted to show some type of typical code, I just wanted to support what's in the html.index, right? I can't run through it. This is not readable thing, right? So GitHub code spaces, it's like a virtual machine that allows you to maybe try and figure out something. That totally depends on how. So like if I just press dot, it's it's more like a web editor, where you can just explore. And maybe let's wait for this. Okay, yeah, so yeah, you can see now the entire folder has a structure. I can it's making a code space for me right now. It's more like a VS code editor. It's more like any typical editor for me. I can maybe I can just check out dev container, what's inside that. This I can just make some changes. I can wrote here whatever I want. So this is how typically this works, right? It's more like a code editor for you, right? But I really don't want it right now. So what I will do, yeah, perfect. Okay, you can another, this is a code space. So I have opened the web address. Similarly, the you can just make a code space, make some changes right over there, and go ahead with whatever you want, right? So this is typically how it works, the code spaces thing. Now, maybe let's understand some couple of things more, right? Suppose cloning a repository, right? So if you will click on this and you will go on local, and if you are using any, maybe if you are using VS Code editor, you can just copy this, right? You can just copy again. Let me just copy any other one which I can maybe see, right? So testing, right? Public, I want to create a new repository. Right, it's private right now, but I can make it public always, so that everyone can watch it, and I can make some add some collaborators. So suppose if I want my particular, if I am working on an organization where 2 3 people are working at the same time, then I can add some collaborator site over here. I can set up the GitHub Copilot. So if you want to, if it's more like an AI programmer, right? It helps you write some basic functions, right? Don't It's always buggy. It's not that well written code. You have to always optimize your code, right? But you can just simply copy this .git, and you can just put it right over here. And see, for your use case, GitHub is Microsoft has always done a really great job in terms of documentation. If you will see right over here, it is telling you everything, right? How to initialize a Git repository, how to get a readme, how to make a commit, how to branch, how to switch a branch, how to add a remote origin. So it is, and how to push it, right? Everything you can see, everything is right over here. It's very easy to go through it, and you don't have to remember all these things, right? If you're making a project, and if you're hopping it around in one two three times, it will, maybe you need to memorize all these things. But at one point of time, you don't need any of these things, right? You can simply go and check. Now if I'll just get, it's saying like cloning into testing, right? Now you have cloned a repository. If I let's You can see this testing is right over here, right? Yeah, I hope my screen is, I okay, just let me see. The camera has some issues, right? Okay, I'm really sorry for that. I think my camera had some issues, right? You can see the test.file is here now. Right now, if you will see inside the, okay, inside this testing, there is nothing. There is no readme file or nothing like this. It's a simple empty folder right now. If you have to do, and if you have to commit this, right? If you have to post these changes to, maybe I have created another folder where I have written this typical code, right? How you can do this, right? Maybe what you can do, get add, and I have added this. You can also git add test.py if you have, but there are multiple things. If you have added a particular folder, then you can just make it like git edit test.py. You can do like this, or what you can do, you can just do git add dot. But what's the difference between these two, right? So if you will do git test.py, it will only commit git test.py at that point. It won't be committing everything that you have changed. Suppose I have made test.py, and again I have also made, maybe another Python file. Suppose hello.py. There are two files. One is test.py, one is hello.py. If I am writing a command git add dot, then test.py and hello.py both will be, both will go in the single commit, right? But if I will only put, git add test.py, it will only, it will only commit test.py. So typically this is how it works. But right now we have only one file, so then it will get commit minus m. See, then there is this what is minus m is for. Minus m is typically we use for writing the, we don't, so we have to write some commit message. So in order to write this message, I'm just using a minus m. So now inside the bracket, you can just add one Python file, right? You can see three insertions. So I have, written these following things right over here. One file change, so it will show me what is one file change. This test.py is changed. Right now I can just, this is how it is. Now I can just simply, if so, this is, now I have already committed the file, right? Get push origin main. Now there can be two things, right? Right now I'm working on the main repository, right? I'm working on the main project, but this main can be master. This can be any, any branch that you want. So if I will just say Anish, I hope it's audible. I'm really sorry. So this is so I was just telling you about this, how to beautify your GitHub repo. Right? If you want, you just need to make a repository with your username. Suppose your name is Nick, so you have to make a repository named maybe Nick, and inside that README file, and you have to make a README file of that repository, and inside that README.md you have to make put some markdown content. Now how you will write that all that markdown content, all that md files, you really don't want to do the manual work, right? So what you can do simply is you can just go to this website. I have already shared GitHub readme generator, rahuldkgen.github.io. You can just select, and then whenever you are done, you can just click on generate readme, right? It's now generating readme, and you can just simply copy and paste it inside it, and you can just commit the changes. That's it. That's pretty much about it. Yeah, so maybe so this is how you can simply beautify your website or beautify your profile for anyone who is coming to your profile. If you want him or her to impress with your GitHub profile, you can simply use all these hacks, maybe the simple terminologies that people use. Though it hardly matter, all it matters is your skills. But if you really want to make a shiny GitHub profile, then you can just use this website in order to make a profile generator. This is a very nice one. Okay. Also there are some couple of ones like stack d generator. There is this web that stack d something like this, a tool that allows you stack edit. Yeah, I remember the name, stack edit. Stack edit is the tool that helps you understand the markdown, how typically the markdown works, right? Yeah, that's it. This is how this That's it for the today session. And you can always just don't exaggerate, just make a project, make a repository, clone it, make some changes, push it. That's it. This is all GitHub is all about. Yeah, right. And you will explore on the way, right? You can't learn everything on a one go. If you think like you will watch a 2 hour course, then and you will learn entire GitHub, you will make some notes and you will run entire GitHub. This is typically not how it works. Should definitely maybe make a project, and you can just maybe write a blog on github.io, maybe whatever, I don't know. You can write a blog, or maybe you can write maybe make a simple project, or maybe you can just start a DSA streak, right? 75-day hard DSA code challenge, right? So whatever you want, just do it likewise, and push your everyday version right overhead. And GitHub can be a really great blogging website as well. If you want to make a blogging website, GitHub is one of the best. You can really use it right in the very best way. So that's it pretty much about today's session. Now see you guys all, everyone, in the quiz that we have in next 20 minutes, so in the Discord server of Azure Developer Community. And we'll see you there. Thank you everyone for joining in, and maybe I really hope you have enjoyed your weekend, and thank you for joining in. See you in the next session, where we will be exploring some branching thing, like how to git checkout, feature release, hotfix, what does git branch minus m minus d, git merge, and some basic merge conflict that occurs at the real time. So that's what we will cover in the upcoming session. And see you guys next time. Thank you guys, and just make sure to, yeah, this is pretty much we will cover branching in GitHub, git branch, git checkout, and minus m minus d, all these terms, and some how to handle these merge conflicts, right? So this is pretty much about today's session. So thank you everyone for joining in. See you next time. Okay, Discord link. uh, this is the Discord server link. You can just join the Discord server, bit.ly. Bit.ly is a Discord, right? You can just click, copy this link, paste it in a browser, or type it simply. This will help you to join the Discord server. In at 9 p.m. today, we will be having a Discord quiz, and the topic today, let me see what's the topic. Uh, the topic today for today's quiz will be, just give me a moment, I'm just checking on my system. It's SQL database. So today's Azure SQL database is the topic for today's Discord, for today's quiz. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining in, and see you in the next session. Bye bye.